Welcome to the No Problem Parenting Podcast. Turn behavior problems into no problem with Jackie Finneman. Are you ready to become the confident leader your kids crave you to be? Do you want to learn how to make parenting easier and more fulfilling? Whether you are at your wit's end or you want to have more fun as a parent, you're definitely in the right place. Now here's your host, Jackie Finneman.
All right, welcome back, parents, to the No Problem Parenting Podcast, where we choose to deal with and overcome the behavioral and emotional challenges within our homes. I am so excited today to have a really good friend of mine on the show talking to us all about addictions and recovery and lifestyle. Let me introduce you to Tricia Parido. Tricia is a recovery lifestyle enthusiast, a speaker, and a published writer. She is nationally certified as a life coach and an international master addiction specialist and a professional life interventionist with a Psych Degree in process behavioral and chemical addiction who loves to help change lives. Specializing in life transitions and post-treatment journeys, Tricia is ever committed to serving her clients worldwide to find the emotional intelligence they need to conquer their life challenges. As an active business owner of a thriving coaching practice, Turning Leaves Recovery, seated in evidence-based practices, she's not only teaching her clients how to live the life they desire and live free, but she also teaches those that aspire to become professional coaches how to do so passionately and professionally. Yes, that is a new part of your company, and I'm so excited about that. So without further ado, welcome to the show, Tricia.
Wow, thank you so much for, even saying all of that stuff, right?
I don't always give the full bio, but I highly admire you and commend you and just absolutely love all you're doing for parents and around addiction and recovery. So thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you. It's truly a blessing for me. It's become a gift that I didn't know that I possessed until I started taking a look at, my own life. And so in my journey, I have been able to just really capitalize and create some really beautiful processes for us to actually apply the things that we learn that can be life-changing. I mean, we all can read a self-help book, but if we don't know the practical application in our lives, because everybody's life is different, we really don't know what to do.
Yeah. And that's why I love you so much. You're so realistic. It's not just about the emotion and the steps and the therapy and all the things. All of that is great and needed. But then what do you do after treatment, let's say, or after a therapy, or how do you make it practical in your life? So we're going to talk about that. And before we get into that, I want you to just I know this about you, give my listeners an idea of when you talk about addiction, people often go to drug and alcohol, right? That's all it is. And that's enough, right? I mean, it definitely is drug and alcohol, but there's much more, so much more to addiction. And I'd like you to just give us that overview of the types of addictions that you're talking about and that you're helping people with.
Right. And so I could talk about it forever. So if anybody needs deeper understanding, reach out to Jackie. She knows how to find me. But so here's the deal. Society does hold a very narrow perspective around the words addiction and recovery. Our minds go immediately to the down, the out, the ill, the poorly functioning, the people that need to be removed from their environment so that they can be fixed. Okay. This is a very small part of the population. It's just the one we tend to look at because a recovery journey is so much more. Addictions are so much more. They are process and behavioral as well as chemical in nature. So we have what I call sneaky snacking. We have impulsive shopping. We have people-pleasing codependency, right? We have the all in, the all out of our dieting. We have all in, all out of the physical fitness. So it's anything that, we're either indulging in or not indulging in. It's kind of likened to, say, the person that, binges when they go on vacation and then come home and they're knuckling down. There are just so many different negative attachments and habits that hold us hostage that we just don't generally associate with needing a recovery journey.
Yeah, it's so interesting. You don't think of hiring a recovery coach, for instance, unless it's a drug or an alcohol related addiction. But there is the person that just has to work out every day, and they have to run and they have to run. I have friends that this has happened to before, where that has led them even to drugs or alcohol. But the root was their need to work out. I thought that was just so amazing. I was like, well, where did that come from?
Right. So it controls their life. So now, especially in today's, the way we are, we're functioning in today's world, work from home. Now, when say mom is home and, generally leaves to go to her 6 a.m. spin class, but one of the kids are sick or, whatever, when that schedule needs to change because of some, one of the kids' needs, now their whole day is derailed. They're irritated, agitated, annoyed, frustrated, bothered, resentful, whatever it is. You guys pick your own adjectives, but your whole day, like, oh, now my whole day is thrown off because this spin class couldn't happen for me. Instead of being bendable, flexible, pliable, and saying, I'll go to the 6 p.m. when my hubby comes home and can take over for me.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like and so at no time am I saying, hey, we shouldn't be exercising. We absolutely do need to be connected with our body and be working out, at the level that we need for ourselves, but it needs to be lifelong, manageable, and maintainable. And it cannot rule your world. It can't have that much control. So it's that external locus of control. So anything outside of you that you rely on for some emotional something or another, you've given it a job, whether it's your gym, your bottle of wine at the end of the day to relieve your stress, the shopping spree on Amazon, because I don't know, whatever reason, right? There's an emotional purpose that we give to things outside of ourselves that we ought to be able to regulate on our own.
And how do you, you have a couple of really good stories about why you even got into this. And I do want to get to those. But before I do, I want to ask, how do you have and I know your programs are vast. What are some key, maybe 1, 2, 3 things that you first look at, or a parent would look at and say, you know what, I need to seek some help. I don't need to go put myself in detox. I don't need to join a recovery program. I just think I've got an issue with this and I need to seek help. What are those things that would make us think that, or maybe some things that you would say, these are my clients?
So we want to take a look at, and I use a tool, it's called the Whole Health Survey. So we take a look at, so socially, do I rely, what does that look like for me? Does my social anxiety have me, do I binge on the buffet? Am I constantly like nervously eating? Do I disappear into the wall? Or do I need to, have some drinks so that I don't feel socially awkward? That's something that you can be looking at. If your day activities of daily living and the stressors that you allow, that you choose to hold on to, accumulate, and you have a daily routine of what you do to decompress those things, and that looks like a reliance on something outside of you, alcohol, Ben and Jerry's, brownies, whatever it is, like, oh, I deserve this. If you ever tell yourself, I deserve to go out and have some drinks, I had a really long week, we need to have a conversation, because our reward system can't be seated in childhood where we got, gold stars, lollipops, and popsicles to soothe our wounds when we scraped our knee, got a shot, or had to go to the dentist, right? Like that reward, that hand to mouth reward, we need to not have that as adults.
That's an interesting topic as well, and how that starts out when we're kiddos, right? And this is what you do.
We could talk for hours about this. So, you really want to look at, asking yourself, why am I opening the refrigerator door? Why am I opening the refrigerator door right now? Am I getting like food to nourish my body, or am I, looking for, again, the Ben and Jerry's, the beer, the wine, the whatever it might be for you? Or why is it that I so much need to just go and exercise, whatever it is, like that attachment to something outside of you that has a purpose,
And
to
so
bring you peace, joy, comfort, relief, value, validity, worthiness, right? Like if you rely on something outside of you for those things, we got to have a conversation.
And I'm going to put all your information in the show notes to make sure that people do. You offer so many things. And so let's talk. I'm so intrigued by that. And I know you have a story from childhood about what you saw in the mimicking of our parents. I just right before you interviewed another guest, and he's going to, a dad, and he's going to be on, I shouldn't say that because I don't know when he's going to be on. Never mind. But so much of what we learn from our parents is not taught, it's caught. So it's not said, it's observed. And that's, as kids, a lot of our learning is not just in the lessons our parents teach us, but in what we observe them doing. And so I know you have a story about that. I'd love for you to share with our audience.
I do. So everybody that's listening, parents, I'm going to give you this so that you get into the headspace that I'm coming from here. Especially in my age group, right? I'm in my 50s, whatever. My parents didn't know what they didn't know, right? I was raised to sweep things under the rug, always get up, get dressed, put your best face on. And we just don't talk about, things outside of the home that may be difficult or hard. So even at the age of 4, I already had internalized that message and did not share with my parents as a sexual assault that happened inside of my own home while everybody was there. But so we are leading by example. And I want you guys to hear that. The example you lead by is really what they're going to be internalizing. So what we don't know is the level of emotional intelligence that we didn't know we weren't getting from our parents. So we don't know to teach it to ours and lead by that example. And I'm talking impulse control, emotion regulation, distress tolerance. And there's a whole list of things that actually create that ability. So here's what I want to say is, we want to be paying attention. We want to be paying attention to how we are leading by example, because do as I say, not as I do, or this is okay for me because I'm an adult. You can't do this because you're not an adult, but because I am, I can, doesn't work anymore. It really wasn't effective then either. But it really doesn't work. So my story is this, or one of my stories is this. My father was killed in a tragic accident when I was 12. And before that, I had already witnessed, daily drinking. And in fact, the year prior, my dad had actually left and gone to a 90-day treatment program for his drinking. My mom packed me up and moved me, to the Midwest for 3 months. And then we came back. And then within that year, he was killed in a tragic motorcycle accident. So at 12, I was devastated, all the things, didn't even want to talk, and just anything. And the story's kind of long in some of the other ways that it affected me. But the one I think that is really important about what we're talking about here is, as a 12-year-old, I couldn't understand why during the funeral, during the funeral, after the funeral, people were able to talk. Then they were happy, or, able to smile and laugh and be, sharing all these fun memories. And I could not even grasp it. I was like, I just want to curl up in a ball right now and just not even be functioning. So I looked around the room, and I was very observant, very mature for my age. And everybody had a drink in their hand. And I'm not talking soda pop. All the adults had a drink in their hand and cigarettes, right? Midwest, everybody drank and everybody smoked. And so what did I do? Well, heck, if it's working for them, I'm going to check it out. Nobody was paying attention to me. Grabbed a 6-pack, grabbed a pack of cigarettes, took off around the corner, and guess what? It worked. My mood got elevated. I didn't even get intoxicated, drunk the first time, because I didn't want to get caught, but I got that whoosh at 12 years old, and it was on. It became, from 12 years on, my way. It worked. Oh, if you're feeling down, have a drink. You're feeling stressed, have a drink. You're sad, have a drink. Smoke. I smoked for 30 years. I also drank for 30 years. So they were leading by that example in that very important period. Plus you add that into the daily drinking and the fact that they would give us kids half and half wine and 7-Up at the dinner table on occasion. It wasn't every day, but on special occasions. Right. And I remember even knowing that communion at church on the first Sunday of the month was real wine, right? Like I always wanted to go to church on the first Sunday of the month because we got communion and it was real wine. I got to have what the grownups were having is all it was about. Like I never was, I wasn't somebody that aspired to become addicted to alcohol.
Right. Right.
Don't get me wrong. Like I didn't raise my hand on career day and say, hey, I'd like to be an addict. It sounds like a great idea. That happened way down the road because I never developed a physical dependency until much later in my life. That's a whole different episode. And that had to do with lack of knowledge and the combination of prescription medication.
So tell us a little bit about that. How society holds that question that you have in there, that society holds a narrow perspective around the words addiction and recovery. And if it's like, you have to be super bad or it has to be super obvious to your friends and your family and whatever. Otherwise, it's really not a problem, right? You're like a functioning, addict or whatever. But how does that actually, like our kids are smart and they see it oftentimes before anybody else does, or they know it.
I do have a lot of clients that are in a quiet hell, if you will. And this was part of my story also, because at the end, that physiological attachment, right? Like sugar is highly addictive and you crave it. It calls you. You could be downstairs doing laundry and those cookies are calling you. That refined sugar is calling you. And then you toss in like being a little bit emotionally off and not having those skill sets and tools, those tactics to use that allow you to say, hey, why is it calling me? Right? What is that emotional attack? What is that thing that I'm expecting to get from it? Because when we eat a cookie, if it's for a self-soothing measure, it's only going to soothe you while it's on your tongue. And then as soon as it gets into your stomach, what happens? Okay, great. Now I'm going to start the self-loathing, the regrets, then the images in the mirror, maybe change, because I did it again. I ate the entire gallon of Ben & Jerry's, and then what is that negative impact? So we want to always be able to look at that. What does that relationship look like? What is that level of severity? And so it depends, because if you feel trapped in it and you're quietly trying to like get it under control so nobody knows and nobody, you're not telling anybody, especially if you're sneaking, if you're hiding candy in the bottom of your purse or small bottles, either those single serve wines or, the little airline bottles in the bottom of your gym bag in the back of your closet. And that's where you go to sneak a drink or grab a snack. Like we got a problem, but and nobody else may notice it, but you're in this perpetual, right? If every time you go to Target for 3 things for your kids, you come back with 25 items that were not on your list, and you find yourself going, how am I going to get the bags in the house? Or if nobody's home, where am I going to hide them so that I can, sneak them out? Like if you're operating this way in your life, like it's time to take a look at that. But, if you don't feel like it's a problem, however, it's it's something, again, that is, I used to say it all the time, it's just who I am. It's just part of who I am. And, I wore it like a badge. Yep. I'm a highly functioning alcoholic. I drink 3 to 5 beers every day. Right? Like that was just, and it was fine because it wasn't actually causing negative impact in my life for that period of time. 12 to 26, absolutely negatively impacting. 26 to 43, not so much, or 38, should I say, not so much, but 38 to 43 was again that derailing space for me. But so if we're like every day I drink, and then some days I drink more than others. Like, there's a problem. Our bodies are not even physically built to process more than one alcoholic beverage on any occasion. Stops at one, not too many people. So if you're having, if you're out at dinner and you're having wine with your dinner, if the purpose for the wine isn't because it complements your ribeye really good, and that's the only reason that you're having it, then you want to take a look at your relationship with alcohol. If, constantly eating refined sugars, like, you want to look at the relationship. Anyway, we could go on.
I mean, really, it boils down to anything that we are craving, addicting,
Reliant
upon. There you go. Yeah. It's to make us feel better, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what do you
peace, joy, comfort, relief, value, validity, worthiness, whatever it is, if it serves that purpose for you, there's an issue.
So what are just a couple of things that we could do to get started to meet our need without going to the crutch?
Okay, so I'm going to do this in twofold, because I do want to circle back around and again talk about that leading by example.
Okay.
And I have an example of, how I know I was negatively impacting my children with my relationship with food. And
let's start there. Let's do that.
And my body image.
Okay.
Because way back in the day, I struggled with anorexia and body dysmorphia. And so what we're doing with our kids, especially when we're talking about dietary practices, fitness, body image, what is fit, what's not fit, like how we're talking to them about food is going to be impacting. I remember standing in the kitchen with my girls and, taking turns and measuring the size of our legs and this and that. My daughters are stepdaughters, so we're not even built the same. And so negatively impacting on their lives, just in guessing, second guessing like their own body shape and size. Even though I wasn't in active anorexia, I still was in that early recovery process from it. And so, it was all the time talking about, I overate, last week, I got to restrict this week. No, we have to change that. Like, we have had to change our dialogue so much over the years, so that I could lead by example, right? I had to start over and do it better, because I feel like I failed them. They don't necessarily feel like I failed them, but I had to really work on restructuring that. A few things that you can do now that I've given you that last tidbit to continue looking at, right?
Yeah.
And shopping. I also led by poor example with shopping, because I had a really bad shopping addiction. Anyway, really, really bad.
You just had all the things. You got
I did.
Quadruple whammied with all the different. Did you go from one to the next, or did they kind of all meld into each other?
I just uncovered that they were all, individual situations and issues. And I started to learn that that's how I figured out that addiction is so much more than just drugs and alcohol. Because it's an attitude, it's a behavior, it's a way of living, it's a way we function. And there are better ways to do it. We can shift, we can still shop, but it has to be restructured. We have to restructure that emotional piece. So self-observation, huge. Slow things down, learn the art of pause, so that you have that opportunity to ask yourself why. And then maybe ask yourself why a few more times as you answer it, right? Why am I putting this in my cart? Because it's super cute. I want it. Is it a need or a want? Well, it's a want. Okay. Why do you want it? What are you hoping to get from it? Right? How impulsive is it? Is it something that, and I forced myself to actually go home before purchasing, go home and look at my closet to see how many things I had identical to it. How many times could I replicate this outfit with what I already have in my closet before buying it, right? But so there's a whole training process, but it has to start with self-observation. Am I doing this in hope for some sort of emotional relief? What example is this going to be leading by for my children? Do I feel trapped by this? Do I feel held hostage? Is this attachment negative or positive? And some people will say, oh, it's positive. My fitness routine is positive. Well, if it controls your world and it's not lifelong manageable and maintainable, meaning that you can sustain it throughout the remainder of your life, it's not lifelong manageable and maintainable. I get it. Sometimes we need to lose 50 pounds, but we don't have to do it quickly. We can do it properly over time. And then if we have young children that we are leading by an example for what is going to be better, to teach them how to incorporate things into their life effectively so that we can do what works and be effective and have our lifestyle versus things we put in our life to fix something.
Absolutely love that. You really identify and you take the time in your programs and in your coaching. And I'm going to put the link for people to take you up on your free coaching call that you do, because you do take the time. One of the things we said at the beginning of this episode is, it's individual, it's unique, everybody's situation. And it needs to, with all the wealth of training and knowledge that you have and all your credentials and all the things, that everybody's situation is unique and different, and it has to be able to work for them in their day-to-day lifestyle, routine, and their situation. How do you help them with that? How do you help them take the information they're learning and actually implement it and make it applicable to their life?
That's why I don't do the one-to-many, and I don't do, it's not, oh, here it is. Here's my system. Here's my processes. And, because it is all most of it is pre-recorded. And that's just to save people time and money.
Right.
Because when I started it wasn't like, I was literally like engaging with people at high levels in their life for 3 solid months. And it could be quite expensive,
right,
week after week after week. Right. Teaching them the skill set, checking in with how their observation was going, and then processing everything that happened. That's like 3 hours a week. That's a lot. Right. So I have to help them look at their life and then take that psychological skill set or tactic and add, edit, delete, change, shift, morph it to fit into their life, which means I have to teach them how to do that with each one by giving them examples, by helping them pull out areas of their life. So I can't just say, hey, listen to this and go do it, right? That it would make me no different than any other self-help book that's on the shelf that doesn't teach you how to apply things in your life. I love self-help books. Don't get me wrong. I'm not bagging on them. I'm just talking about this is a hugely important way to change the way you experience living without changing everything about you, so that you can see yourself inside your environment the way that you desire to see yourself, so that you can experience your environment the way that you desire, and also so that you can be received by all things in your environment the way that you would prefer to be received. And that means by your children, by your spouse, by your coworkers, by your boss, by your community members, by everybody. Like, how do you want them to receive you? And so this is not something that can just be, here's a worksheet, figure it out.
Right. No, but I do love, and you do have coaching where people can go on and you have videos and, kind of you walk them through a whole program so they can learn all of that. And then they can also, just with that, it might be enough, right? For them to take it and do it on their own.
There's a daily touch point, whether it's listening to a lesson, looking at a worksheet, working on a milestone. And so these are either, recorded presentations, recorded videos, worksheets. We have a digital coaching corner that is a secure platform where you can communicate with your coach back and forth, i.e. me, at this point in time. And so everything is there. We can share documentation, but then we also do have a live weekly skill set group that people can come to if they want. It's not mandatory. Mm-hmm. So there's a way to connect with other people doing the same walk and journey as you. But then there's also, I generally meet with my clients twice a week, at least for the first month, while we're while we're learning how do I shift without making drastic change, right? Like what does that look like?
That is amazing. Twice a week. That's
yeah.
That's a lot of attention from a coach.
And everybody has my cell phone number, and I text with people almost daily. So it's literally, I have to become part of your life for a period of time. And we negotiate. Everybody is different. Some people need more, some people need less. And so it's very customized.
And I like that you say touch points too. So it doesn't mean you're meeting twice a week for an hour or 2 hours or whatever. It could just be
it's 15 minutes. I'm going to listen to that. It's 15 minutes. I'm going to do a check-in. It's 30 minutes. I may be having, a situation is coming up. I'm going to do some text communication. If we can't hash it out that way or on the platform, then we're going to hop on a really quick call just so that, but a lot of times I'll just do voice recordings back, like, hey, try this, yada, yada, we problem solve that way. And then we generally just have 1 hour session. And some clients just prefer to have, I don't know. Like I said, we just
you tailor it to the client. And I think that's awesome. So I'm going to put a link in here because one of the best first steps is for people to do that whole health survey and review, and then to get on the phone with you before they jump into anything. You want to make sure that they're ready for this, that they're committed to, starting something new. Right. And that it's a good fit. They don't even need it.
They do the whole health survey and there's not anything significant. Right. I mean, of course, I'm happy to talk to anybody that doesn't score. Right. I have a lot of people are like, oh, my scores aren't so bad. And I'm like, well, let me help you understand what they mean. So we definitely want to share the answers, and we definitely want to have a conversation about it so that we can talk about where I see the trained professional, because the whole health survey is actually from, I didn't even create it. It's textbook psych. And it's just in a really palatable form.
Yeah. I just love this as one of my favorite things about the No Problem Parenting podcast is that I can bring resources to people that are accessible to them no matter where they live. And this is one of those things where it's like sometimes in your local area, there aren't a lot of resources for recovery, for addiction, for habit to, forming behaviors and that sort of thing, unless you're going to therapy, and you can find that, but you're like, I don't really need weekly therapy. I want to figure this out in my house, in my home, in my day-to-day. What do I need to do to stop having wine every night, or to stop feeling like I need to binge and all that sort of thing? So that's why I really love that you're just a really accessible resource.
Big difference between therapy and coaching.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And we can identify that as, our therapists, we go talk to them, and we pour our hearts out, et cetera, where my clients do that with me as well, but I'm still a coach. I'm going to say, okay, how would you prefer this to look? Mm-hmm. Let's dig in and let's make those changes. Let's make those shifts. Let's, do those. It's very forward moving. So I do work with a lot of therapists in tandem where they'll be working on the trauma or, the distressing things like, divorce. Right. Divorce is a big one. And so we have, maybe we have our marriage, LMFT that we're working with. That's great. But how are you going to learn how to continue living going forward? And in a lot of divorce situations, I do find that whether it's a negative attachment, a habit, or an actual chemical addiction, there's generally something embedded in that relationship that if we could tweak it, might actually improve the relationship and keep us from actually going through with that divorce situation. We just don't know that we're being rigid in some, in an area that we, if we softened, we could, repair some things. So conflict resolution is a big one, whether it's conflict internally or if it's conflict within a relationship. It's a big part of emotional intelligence that we all need to be working on.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for agreeing to do this and taking your time to be with me today, Tricia. I'm so excited that you were willing to come on and give us a different look into addictions and habit forming kinds of, what do you call them? Habit forming.
Negative attachments.
That's what you are.
Habits that hold you hostage.
Habits that hold you hostage. That's what I was trying to think of. I've heard you say it a million times. And it's like, yeah, they are. When they're holding us hostage, it's time to shift, figure it out, and release that.
We want to experience living the way that we desire.
So good. So thanks so much for being here. All the links are going to be in the show notes. And I hope that my parents, anybody that's, just kind of on the fence or struggling or unsure, talk to Tricia, give her a call. She is the most down-to-earth, realistic coach, especially around addictions and recovery that I have ever met. And I so appreciate you.
Thank you. I appreciate you also. It was a blessing for me to be invited.
Thank you for tuning in to the No Problem Parenting Podcast. Join Jackie next time for more tips, tools, and resources that will help you become the confident leader your kids crave you to be. Who do you know that we could support on their parenting journey? Like this podcast, subscribe, share, or leave a review of the show. Your support of the No Problem Parenting Podcast pays it forward and helps us help more families.